These folks are here, win or lose. It's been mostly win this year. 80,000 plus, 7 straight years. Preseason, every ticket sold. LSU, South Carolina. Welcome again, Columbia, South Carolina. Dave Barnett, Bill Curry, Heather Cox is with us on the sidelines tonight. Lou Holtz is in his 5th year here and has become the 3rd winningest active coach, the 8th all-time winningest coach. Earlier this year passed his former mentor and idol, Woody Hayes, on the all-time list, and he's at 242 and counting. Kent State graduate, head-to-head. Nick Saban, his 4th year at LSU. They won the SEC 2 years ago. He's been pretty good in games after a defeat. His only defeat this year at home against Florida last week. And LSU has won the toss and elected to defer. And the question tonight is, will LSU react better trying to stay in the top 10 than they did to reaching all the way to number 6. Ryan Goday's kick is a short one and returned pretty well by Matthew Thomas. Look for an opening across the field. South Carolina will go to work from there. Michael Clayton really does everything. He made the tackle for the kickoff coverage team for LSU. We'll see him catch a few passes. We'll see Dondriel Pinkins throw some. The sophomore out of Camilla, Georgia. Hotel restaurant management major, starter since the next to last game of last season. He finished up a year ago against Florida and Clemson. Had a terrific spring developing as a passer, and he's had a big problem with drops this year. His receivers have not done him that many favors. So the Gamecocks from their 24-yard line and a toss sweep on the first play from scrimmage. And this is their prize freshman, Demetrius Summers, from Lexington, South Carolina. Brought down by Marquise Hill. Let's look at the Bud Light starting lineups.
And Demetrius Summers, we just saw on the first down, that was not characteristic. Every running play he's touched the ball this year, he's averaged 5.7 yards per carry. So look for him to pick it up from the first result.
Getting some amazing comparisons. Literally from the first time he set foot on the field here. People are saying looks like Herschel Walker, Emmitt Smith, Bo Jackson, people like that. An awful lot to live up to. Pinkins has to call time on the second play of the game. And to the sideline to talk about second down and 15.
Now, Coach Holtz is really upset already. This is not good. This is not the way to start a game. That's a very obvious thing to say. But what it means is there's confusion, and the one thing that the South Carolina coaching staff dedicated the entire offseason to this year was just what Heather Cox told us about prior to the game. Synthesizing the offense, making it simpler for everybody. And they're already wasting a timeout in the first series,
which has not started well. Up front, a couple of late changes for Carolina. Jeff Barnes gets to start at left guard. Chris White, redshirt freshman, at right guard. Good weeks of practice, so they move ahead of Jabari Levy and Jonathan Alston. Bill Wharton, their All-America candidate.
Big Chad Lavallee, number 93. Remember that number. He was a prison guard for a year prior to coming to LSU, and he plays defense like he's still doing it.
Linebackers, Lionel Turner, maybe the hardest hitting linebacker in the SEC, their leading tackler. Mays and Alexander on the sides. And in the secondary, Webster. 10 career interceptions, 7th on the all-time list with Daniels Hunt healthy again and Prude back there. Now the Gamecocks ready for 2nd and 15 as Thomas goes in motion. And play action, Pinkins with time, now scrambles with the pressure applied by Lavallee and has to throw it away. Chad Lavallee with 5 sacks. He leads the Tigers. 8 stops behind the loss also for the senior from Marksville, Louisiana. And South Carolina looking at 3rd and 15. LSU's defense among the best in the country. 6th in the country. Total defense. 2nd in scoring defense. South Carolina's offense is balanced, but not all that productive. 7th in the conference in yards, 9th in scoring. Pinkins again well protected. Long enough, and he gets it off complete, and Savell Newton Won't come near the first down, but he'll get about 8 yards out of it. True freshman, brought down by Jesse Daniels, also true freshman. But a 3 and out, first time South Carolina gets it. And Joey Bowers is going to punt. And what are we going to look at with the South Carolina punt formation?
A really weird formation. You got 7 guys across the front with 3-foot splits and 3 guys to protect behind them. Really unusual.
That's a pretty typical kick. A lot of them won't get more than 10 feet off the ground, and he just banks on roll. And this one rolls to the 36, and he gets 36 yards. So LSU with better field position to start things from Matt Mock, Jr., Jasper, Indiana. Last week his 10-game winning streak as the starting quarterback ended against Florida. 3 years as a catcher in the Cubs organization. So he must have had a tough week. Nick Saban originally recruited him to Michigan State in 1997. After his baseball career, he signed 3 years ago after Saban had moved to Baton Rouge. And Skylar Green with the first catch of the night and up the sideline for about 8. Bud Light starting lineup, LSU.
Number 14, Michael Clayton. You saw him make the tackle on the opening kickoff. In my opinion, quite simply the finest football player in the Southeastern Conference. He can do anything. Block, tackle, catch the football, score points. He can do it all.
A little bit of a touchdown drought lately. He's not scored in the last 3 games. Mock under pressure, and again Green, this time on the other side. Out of the tackle into the 48 of South Carolina with a first down. Tackle by Jermaine Harris, and doing the protecting for Mock up front. Saban has characterized this group as his best offensive line, loaded with a lot of leadership, with Whitworth, Livings, Wilkerson, Peterman, New Papa, and Reed across the front. South Carolina defensive front with Thompson leading this group. Shropshire, Capers at the nose, and Slay at the other end. Mock dropping back shotgun and gets a flag. It was not too much time, but referee Steve Shaw will tell us what it was.
Dead ball, false start on the offense, 5-yard penalty, first down.
So we've seen Saban's offense, and we'll see now the South Carolina defensive front. Garrison, Lawrence, Lowry, the backers.
Dante Robinson at corner hopes to be the equal of Michael Clayton tonight. A shutdown corner from Athens, Georgia.
Mock with a give out of the gun, and Justin Vincent, redshirt freshman out of Lake Charles, brought down by Marcus Lawrence, the middle backer, but he gets 11 yards. The Tigers tonight without Joseph Adai, their leading rusher, and their backup, Chiron Carey, who is here but is not going to be allowed to play.
Nice job by Ben Wilkerson, staying on his feet right here. The offensive center's got a good shot on the linebacker, stays on his feet for the nice opening 7-yard gain.
Carey injured late in the Mississippi State win 3 weeks ago. Close, not close enough to get any action tonight. Vincent tripped up just shy of the first down marker. Rodriguez Wilson there with Jeremiah Garrison.
Excuse me, Dave, but the question on any young back is not whether or not he has talent. If he's at LSU, he's got talent. The question is, can he secure the football? Does he put it away? Is it riveted to his rib cage? So far, so good for Vincent.
And they said he came miles in practice this week. So they're hopeful that the combination of freshman Vincent Barrington Edwards and Ali Broussard can handle the load tonight without a die and Carey. Out of the eye, and Broussard gets the toss and breaks it. Breaks a tackle. And finally tripped up inside the 5, and it was Harris saving a touchdown. Wow.
Well, no question about the toughness of the young backs. Ali Broussard, perfect blocking down the sideline. Rodriguez Wilson, who really could be a linebacker. He's not a little bitty DB. This guy's 6'2", 215. Look how the young back, who's 6 foot 235. Boom! Look at the shoulder. Lowered shoulder. Great running. Explosion. Almost in the end zone. Saving tackle by Jermaine Harris there.
They've not given him quite the spot it looked like. He was saying he stepped out at the 8, so first and goal from there. Vincent back in, and now he's at the 3. And a little bit inside of that.
Now what we're seeing, looking on forward in this game, obviously what Nick Saban and Jimbo Fisher, the offensive coordinator for LSU, decided, by golly, our identity is going to be, we're going to come out and hammer these guys. We're going to come off the ball, knock them back.
They hope that that can work against a pretty stout South Carolina defense. 8th best in the country. Total yardage. Strength of this matchup tonight, both defenses. Mock with a toss. Vincent looks for the hole and gets close, but not in. Can't get a whole lot closer, though.
Nice job by Marcus Lawrence, number 46, middle linebacker. Hard to see who the blocking pattern had responsibility on him, but he made a nice run through, got a hold of Vincent in the backfield and kept him from getting it in the end zone. Here he comes. You'll see him run through. Yes, coming off the double team. The left guard was supposed to be on him. He slowed the back up just enough to keep him from getting in there.
Now a flag. Broussard laid into the huddle.
Substitution violation on the offense. 5-yard penalty. 3rd down.
They just didn't get Broussard in time to get Vincent out.
That's right. You can't be running people on and off just prior to the snap. You can't have an extra man in the huddle. These are rules that were put in 4 or 5 years ago to cut down on the attempts to deceive defensive units by constant changing or breaking the huddle with more than 11 men in the huddle. And that is a really severe, a terrible time to make a mistake, because there's a whole lot of difference in 3rd and 6 and 3rd and inches in this situation.
They were 3rd and 18 inches. 8th play of the drive. First time the Tigers have it. Can they get 6? Mark to the end zone. Back of the end zone. Devery Henderson touchdown. His 5th of the year, where Clayton has had some trouble 3 games in a row not getting into the end zone. Henderson has tried to fill that void. And LSU with the early lead. O'Day with the extra point, no good. His 2nd miss in 19 tries, and it'll stay 6-0 Tigers. With Michael Clayton and Devery Henderson, tough to cover both of them. Henderson gets loose, and Dondriel Pinkins will have it for the 2nd time. And we'll tell you a gripping story when we come back. Gamecock defense surrenders a touchdown, no extra point, and 6-0 LSU. 8:54 first quarter. LSU trying to start 6-1 for the 2nd straight year. Last time they did that back-to-back years 3 decades ago, 72-73 under Charlie McClendon.
Devery Henderson coming off, and there's a 3-on-2 out here. You can see how it's designed. Number 11, Rodriguez Wilson, was supposed to come inside with Henderson, and he just missed his read. A perfect throw from Mock for the touch.
Sprinter speed right there. Troy Williamson with a deep end for the Gamecocks. Much deeper kick this time by Godet. And bringing it out from 2 yards deep, Thomas. Not a good decision. Let's check in with Matt Weiner in the studio. Newton going in motion behind Pinkins. Here comes Summers. Almost got the corner turned, and let's turn it down below to Heather Cox.
Guys, most college and pro quarterbacks use the laces on the football to help with accuracy, velocity, and control. Well, not so for Dondriel Pinkins. He said it started from the very first time he picked up a ball. He was much more comfortable without the laces. Throughout his entire career, coaches, including Lou Holtz 2 years ago, have tried to change that technique, but he loses his accuracy when he uses those laces, and certainly an unusual technique to keep our eye on throughout this game.
Bill, I'm sure if you were coaching him and you saw him throw that way the first time you saw it, you would try to correct him. But how long do you stay with what feels right to him versus what is conventional.
We'll check the measurement here. First down. It's much like a good pitcher, Dave. If the guy can throw strikes, you might work with him for a day or two, but you can see the laces are clearly not on his fingers. And the other thing that I observed, you can see right here, I went down and stood next to him when he also puts the ball flat in his palm. But if he can deliver it that way and you try to change him, then you might very well ruin his delivery. So they've just left him.
Look at the numbers, though. 48% more picks than touchdowns, so there's a way to go with him, but they do see progress. And he's already fought off 1 week where they opened up the job. He maintained it. Summers stacked up this time. May lose a yard. Corey Webster, one of the first to hit him. Does that mean anything at all for the center? Does the center has to snap it differently to him?
The center, well, what it means is the center doesn't have to worry about the laces. Normally, you're snapping the ball to a quarterback, for instance, Bart Starr, John Unitas, guys that I snapped to. They always wanted the laces in their fingers. Here, the center puts the laces on his fingers, which helps him get purchase on the ball. He doesn't have to worry about it.
John Strickland. Pinkins on the roll and running out of room and has to dump it. And let's check in again with Matt Weiner.
All right, Dave, Virginia and Florida State over on ESPN. The Cavaliers have really been dominated by the Noles in recent years, and it didn't start out well either. Look at Kerfonso Thorpe, but look at him play the safety there. Down the sideline he goes, 79 yards. Noles 7-zip.
Virginia, the first team to beat Florida State in the ACC back in '95, and that is still the only time they've beaten Florida State in the ACC. But they have them at Scott Stadium tonight. 3rd and 10, Carolina. And Pinkins out of the gun. His best pass so far. Thomas with the first down. And 14 yards.
This is where Dondriel Pinkins has really grown up. He knows he's getting ready to be hammered here. He steps up into the rush, and man, it doesn't matter how you hold the football if you can throw it like this. They're coming off the corner. He knows they can't pick him up. He's going to be thrown to the ground. He steps up, perfect delivery, and a nice catch by Matthew Thomas, and he needs his receivers to catch the football.
Helps if you're 245 as Dondriel is. Flag is down on this one. Caught by Troy Williamson for 8th, if it counts. Those two have hooked up for 99 yards against Virginia earlier this year. Mostly Williamson. LSU offsides.
When quarterback coaches study prospects, they want to see how the ball spins. And this is part of the argument here. Is the ball ballistic the way you want it to be? Meaning, does it spin such that it will be accurate in windy conditions? You'll see there's a slight wobble. That's what those stripes are for on the football, so you can tell there's a slight wobble, but when he's throwing it on the mark, by golly, it doesn't make much difference if it wobbles a little.
And Lou Holtz told us yesterday, quarterback numbers and all is not our problem. Other people have to emerge. Receivers have to hang on to balls. They dropped 17 in their first 2 games. Running backs need to be consistent. This is Corey Boyd, another true freshman. Prize freshman. You seem to be more impressed with him than you are Summers.
Well, I like both of them, but I think Boyd is just such a punishing physical back. A guy out of New Jersey, a true freshman. He has no fear. He just explodes into people. Moved into safety because they just wanted to find a way to get him in the game. Then they had injuries in the backfield, so they brought him back to offense last week. And I think they're going to be very pleased with the results with these 2 young backs.
Let's see what will happen if they can get it in Boyd's hands 10 times a game. They just got it the first time. They got him a first down from the 47. Shuttle pass, and LSU's all over it. Summers right in the arms of Marcus Spears. Every Sunday morning, join Chris Berman, Tom Jackson, Steve Young, and Chris Mortensen, along with spirited new addition Michael Urban for NFL Countdown, presented by Old Spice, 11 a.m. Eastern. Reports from every game of the NFL, up to the minute news and stats. John Madden's weekly feature, everything you need to know right up until kickoff each Sunday morning.
Dave, you talked about Pinkins' percentage of completions. Had those guys caught about half those balls, his percentage would be fine.
Be a lot better, probably mid-50s at least. On a reverse, Thomas only about 5 or 6 as again LSU reacts really well to a little different twist. But you expect that from this LSU run defense. 62 yards a game, all they're giving up, 4th best in the country. And Lou Holtz, boy, did he run us down the numbers yesterday. Every number there is in every SEC category, and he ran it down for his team last night, pointing out that Carolina is right there in most of those categories, and he doesn't think it would take a miracle to win this game tonight.
Statistically significant, that's what I call Lou.
Many of his fans would think it's going to take a miracle. A deep ball would have helped.
Let's continue to look at Pinkins to see the marvelous potential he has. This looks so easy. He just threw that ball 50 yards, and he did it with a flick off his back foot. He didn't have to wind up and haul off. He just sees that he's got the man coverage over there. Zap. Almost perfect throw, just maybe 6-8 inches overthrown. Look here, very close.
Good layout.
Nice action.
Thomas couldn't quite get it. Skylar Green is back deep. And this time, a conventional-looking punt. It wasn't a low roller. It was a high 9-iron. Backed it up 44 yards down to the 3. And the Carolina special teams do their job. 6-0 though, LSU. That is not an unusual sight here. SRO at Williams-Brice Stadium. They're here every game. They were here every game when they were winless. Lou Holtz's first year.
Dave, really important for the South Carolina defense to hold these guys down here, make them punt out of the back of the end zone. Really important for this team.
Brown killed it at the 3, and now they try and gouge out some breathing room with the freshman Broussard on the carry back down to Heaven.
Dave, LSU's offense came into last week's Florida game with an SEC high 27 touchdowns, yet failed to score in that game. Consider that they mustered just 56 yards rushing. Their quarterback threw 2 picks and no touchdowns, and LSU committed a season-high 13 penalties. So tonight, they search for that identity with a starter freshman at running back for the first time since '95, when Kevin Falk ran for 170 yards and 2 TDs. Looking for that same type of production tonight.
Broussard breaking tackles, and the powerful true freshman, 235-pounder out of Lafayette, the top running back in the state last year with over 1,900 yards, 2,200 as a junior. Nick Saban brought him in. And that's just the situation they're in. They'd like the identity. It's hard to know without a die and carry how much the running can be part of the identity tonight, but so far it's been a good part.
Well, so far it's been very good, and that was really poor defense by South Carolina. They got knocked off the ball. First down, LSU. Not good for the Gamecock defense.
A little bit better this time. Knifing in, Dante Robinson.
Dante Robinson out of Athens, Georgia. We said, Dante, how do you end up at South Carolina? He said, well, believe it or not, my mom was not a Georgia fan, so I was sort of wide open, and I just liked it over here. They believed in me when I had to get my academics together. Big play. Big play. Taking on the big back. Nice form tackle. Ali Broussard, all 235 pounds of him.
Dante giving up 50 pounds in that collision. You never know it. Skylar Green, Mock's favorite target so far, winding across the 20. And Green, in fact, Mock's only target so far, other than one to Henderson for the touchdown. Final 3 minutes of the first quarter. And a drive that's gotten them from their 3 to the 21. And a 3rd and 3 here.
For South Carolina to stay in this game, they've got to play field position football. They've already let LSU off the goal line. They need to get them stopped here.
Can't do it. First catch of the night, Mike Clayton. Let's check in with Matt Weiner.
All right, Dave. Missouri into Norman, Oklahoma. Remember, Brad Smith put up 391 yards of total offense last year against the Sooners, and here he goes again. Quarterback keeper for the score, and the Tigers have tied it at 10.
Bob Stoops says we have no post-Texas letdown. Usually they don't. Usually they win the next game pretty easily. LSU back to the ground and knocked backwards is Vincent. Buried, in fact. First contact, Mo Thompson. The SEC East pretty well decided. History would suggest last week when Georgia won at Tennessee. You have to have one or no losses to come out of the East. So South Carolina in that group with 2 defeats with Florida, which won at Arkansas today, and Tennessee. South Carolina just really now getting into the thick of their SEC schedule. Mock keeping after a nice fake out of the gun. And he tripped right before he got the first down, and Jermaine Harris was there to finish him off a yard shy.
Here's your old minor league catcher with the footwork and the nice strength in the thighs and hips and some quickness. Mock started out his career as a running quarterback, having to take over for the injury quarterback in the bowl game a couple of years ago, and he did most of the damage against Tennessee on the ground. If he hadn't tripped and fallen, he would have made a first down there. Jermaine Harris finally got him on the ground, another 3rd and short.
And back into the eye for short yardage. Broussard is going to be right at it. Maybe right over it. So he does pack a punch, doesn't he?
He does. When we talked to Chris Kosh, the defensive coordinator, and here we are down here in the pit. Shropshire got a good jump off the ball. He guessed, he got penetration. He screwed up the play and allowed Mo Thompson to bend down there and do what Kosh called changing surfaces of the defense, meaning slanting across the offensive blocker's face. Very nearly got him stopped, but it wasn't good enough. This is bad news. What we're seeing here is LSU having the capacity to control the football, bring it off the goal line, and drive it, hardly throwing a pass at all.
Well, that is one area LSU's already shown huge improvement.
Florida was able to get off the field against them last week. South Carolina's been 60% 3 and outs this year, meaning they've gotten off the field without the offense making a first down. Not a very good job tonight.
The LSU offense never got past the Florida 31 last year. A dozen for Broussard, who emerges more and more as the feature back tonight. 12 more yards for him. Now the SEC West, won by LSU 2 years ago, snatched away by Arkansas last year, and Auburn and Ole Miss stay unbeaten today. Auburn over Mississippi State, Ole Miss over Alabama. LSU, the only one-loss team. Back-to-back losses. Knocking Arkansas to 2-loss territory, but 2 losses in the West, not as fatal as they are in the East.
The West is just wild. It's just a wild and woolly West, and anything can happen over there. But in the East, you better not have 2 losses.
End of the first quarter, and the only points of the game on a touchdown pass from Mock to Henderson. 6-0 LSU in Columbia. LSU 6-0 starting the second quarter, but not that close statistically. About 3-1 advantage for Nick Saban and the Tigers. And the identity issue tonight seems to be grind it out. Power, old-fashioned Saturday night LSU SEC football. 83 yards on the ground out of that total of 122.
7 yards a carry, Dave. Better than twice their normal average for the year.
56 of it by Broussard on just 6 carries. Mock is 5 out of 5 and hoists one deep for Clayton and overthrows him.
Both quarterbacks a little extra adrenaline. Both quarterbacks normally have a nice touch on the deep ball. That's Clayton, who has great acceleration, but he couldn't run under that one.
Can't stay away from him forever. The goal for Michael Clayton, 8 touches minimum tonight. what the coaching staff tried to devise.
Well, if he were on my team, it'd be 15. The guy is a menace.
So Mock, after his first incompletion, on the roll, and the short toss is complete to the tight end, David Jones. Just his third catch of the season. Rasheem Monroe with a hit on the sideline. Our ESPN2 game track. 1 quarter in tonight. And the freshman bats have done just fine so far. Vincent, who started, Broussard, who's carried most of the load so far. Henderson, touchdown number 5, uncovered back of the end zone. Goday missed the PAT, so 6-0 LSU. Trying to stay perfect on 3rd down. From the 44, the Gamecocks. Swinging, Vincent uncovered until it was too late. And Justin out at the 35. And they're 5 of 5 converting 3rd downs.
Down the stretch last year, as South Carolina lost all 5 of their last 5 games, the biggest problem was they couldn't get off the field. They gave up 48.2% conversions on 3rd downs, and tonight they're being wasted on 3rd down by an LSU team that couldn't make one to save their life a week ago against Florida.
Nate Living, sophomore guard from Lake Charles, rolled up by his own man.
Here's Nate right here. Very active young sophomore lineman, his own guy, Ben Wilson. You sure hate to fall on your own people. Hate to fall on anybody. Looks like it's minor.
LSU 1st down, and another sweep on 1st down for good yardage for Broussard. Back to Matt Weiner.
All right, David, back to Norman, Oklahoma. Number 1 in the country, taking on Mizzou at home. 10-all game. Jason White throws it up. Nino Williams appears to have position on Mark Clayton, and Clayton just out-battles him for the ball. Touchdown Sooners. Oklahoma up by 7.
And LSU up by 6 here. 14th play of this drive, which began, remember, on the Tigers' own 3-yard line. 2nd and 4. This South Carolina defense used to 3 and out 60% of the time this year. Broussard weaving another 1st down to the 23. Nick Saban had some particular areas of concern this week. Or stress.
Yeah, we could call these the Saban stress marks. What he calls the 3 I's: immediacy, a 3rd down conversions. They were 3 for 12 tonight, 6 for 6. Intensity, trips into the red zone were not very good coming into this game. Better tonight. Intelligence, no dumb penalties.
After the play, dead ball, personal foul against the offense.
Until now.
It'll be a 15-yard penalty from the end of the run. Since the play made a 1st down, it will be 1st and 10.
Now, since I just said no dumb penalties, I got to say this. A hit after the whistle is the dumbest of the dumb. Here you got one of the best drives of the season by anybody in America. Last week, 13 penalties that were deadly against Florida, and now they've taken themselves back. Absolutely inexcusable by Stephen Peterman, 72. Just can't make mistakes like that.
Obviously, Shropshire responding after. Whistles with still 2 seconds on the play clock.
LSU's been playing a marvelous football game except for the extra point. They've taken the ball off their 3-yard line. Let's listen to the call. We know what it is.
On the offense, 5-yard penalty, 1st down.
Okay. You drive all the way down the field. What was it, 13 plays, Dave?
14.
Okay, 14. Now you got 15 unofficially because that one won't count. And twice in a row, you got a big guy, Peterman, that takes a cheap shot for nothing, for no reason at all. And then you got movement by the new guard that's come in, Terrell McGill, to take over for Livings. And now you got 1st and 15, and you just can't believe you're shooting yourself in the foot for the 2nd week in a row.
Yeah, I think Heather in a minute's going to tell us that McGill will have to stay in for a while. Henderson right into the waiting arms of DeAndre Island.
And what do? You improve the confidence of the defense. Hey, these guys are killing themselves. Let's start tattooing them.
Heather, what is the ruling on Nate Living's knee?
Well, not good news. Bad news for the LSU O-line. They believe that he tore his MCL. That's his medial collateral ligament in his right knee. That, of course, won't be confirmed until they do an MRI. But they're treating it like a tear. He will not return. Now, the good news, if it is torn, the rehab not as bad as an ACL, but it typically does require an arthroscopic surgery, guys.
Well, relatively good news. 16th play of the drive. 2nd and 16. Mock to Henderson. Breaks one tackle and gets right at the first down marker. Maybe a foot short or so. Knocked out by Corey Peoples.
Wow, what a marvelous play by Matt Mock. This is the first time South Carolina's really come after him in a passing situation. Chris Kosh taking a calculated risk. Mock stepped up in the face of the heat and delivered the football on the mark to Devery Henderson. Great throw and catch. Probably will keep this drive alive.
From our first and 10 line, it looked like he was just short. About that much short.
The dominant unit in this game, and it ain't even close, folks. This big old offensive line for LSU has said, look, 3.4 yards per rush, not good enough. Losing our 2 starting backs, okay, we're going to make up for it. They've been knocking South Carolina into the nickel seats, and this is a good defensive line for South Carolina. This is a group that's been tough, the number 2 defense in the league, and they're getting ready to try to do it again.
So here comes the 17th play of this drive, which is carried on now nearly 8 minutes from the LSU 3. And they stand up Broussard and knock him back, and Carolina finally stands firm.
Great job there by number 10, Darrell Slay, number 6, Jermaine Harris going up and over to make this hit. If LSU doesn't have it, they need to go for it. LSU needs to go for it with this big old line. Boom, what a shot in the backfield. Darrell Slay, number 10. Talked to his defensive line coach, the defensive end coach, Jappy Oliver, who came over from Air Force Academy last year, and he says, Darrell is just getting better and better. Good indication.
Tigers will talk it over. 4th and 1, 18th play of the drive when we come back. Back again, packed Williams-Brice Stadium. 80,000 have watched an awful lot of the LSU offense right now. And the 18th play of this drive, which started at their own 3, going for it, 4th and 1, play fake. Mock wide open. David Jones, the tight end. They tried to run it, and they get it, and a lot more through the air.
David Jones, number 82, who's normally a tight end, has been lining up at fullback, and all night long he's been knocking the stuffings out of the linebackers. He's been the lead blocker on all these successful runs. This time he comes out, goes right by the linebacker Lowry, turns up the field, catches the football. Beautiful play calling by Jimbo Fisher, the offensive coordinator for LSU.
And they continue. Broussard from the 12. We're about 4.
One of the really fine young football coaches anywhere, Derek Dooley. That name sounds familiar. Yes, he is the son of Vince and Barbara Dooley of the University of Georgia. Derek is coaching the offensive backs for LSU, and his men are really playing well tonight. I know Derek's got to be pleased with them. Jones disappointed with himself that he didn't get a decleater there on Marcus Lawrence. He got up and slapped his thigh because he's really been doing a great job of blocking, in addition to the nice catch. And Dave, this has got to be, what, 20 plays on this drive by now?
Number 20 coming up. I don't know if I've ever seen a 20-play drive. What we have now. And Mock keeping. It will be 3rd and about 2.
That was a busted play. That was the ugliest play of the evening. Michael Clayton came in motion, settled up like a single wing tailback right next to Mock, and then stood there and watched him sort of with his hands on his hips. What are you doing, buddy? Mock said, well, I'm not sure what I'm supposed to do, so I think I'll just run it over here to the left.
Mock 10 of 11 through the air. His second carry, 14 yards. And third and still a couple needed. LSU better than a 4-1 total yardage edge over Carolina. Still just 6-0 on the board though. And Mock corner of the end zone to end the drive. The epic march into the arms of Eric Edwards. That drive seemed like it started on the 4th of July.
Of 2002.
Yes.
Wow.
21 plays, 97 yards, 9 minutes, 37 seconds. And this time Godet hits the extra point.
Dave, your word is perfect. That was an epic drive. If you're a lineman, you remember that the rest of your life.
So the mental edge right now for LSU over Carolina has got to be a lot bigger than 13 points. Eric Edwards ends that march with his 5th career touchdown, but the first since his sophomore year. He's a senior out of Monroe, and Mock is near perfect. Touchdown to Henderson, touchdown to Edwards, 13-0 LSU. Earlier this afternoon, if you were watching, you saw Purdue's Kyle Orton hit his first 15 passes. Mock's pretty close to that. And the Chris Jackson kickoff. Returned by Troy Williamson. Very little in the way of returns tonight for the Gamecocks. It's 14 yards here. One more look at the touchdown pass.
Big Eric Edwards. When the running game's going well, you see Eric Edwards coming off right here. The tight, he's going to come here and out. This guy right here, Teddy Crawford, must honor the run because the running game's gone. And all he does is take one hop to the inside, and he is beat. Perfect execution by Matt Mock, Eric Edwards, and the play action.
LSU mentally, they have got to be feeling like they absolutely own South Carolina right now.
Well, the big guys are knocking them off the ball, and that's the key to all of this.
44 total yards right now. Carolina barely gets Brian Brownlee, a tight end.
They're going to get flagged
on the line in time. In fact, they didn't get him in there. Let's check in the meantime with Matt Weiner.
Dave, the Sooners have very quickly achieved some separation against Missouri in Norman. Wobbler. Off the punt, Antonio Perkins fielding, drifting back, and then quickly moving forward. His 4th touchdown return on a punt this year, 7th of his career, and quickly the Sooners up by 3 touchdowns.
Well spotted, 8-yard line.
Probably kind of nice while it lasted. Columbia, Missouri. After the delay, 1st and 15.
Carolina's offense is in disarray. They don't look good.
2 tight ends, 1 back. Dacus Turman gets his first carry. Sophomore, Washington, Georgia. Probably their best all-around running back. Broke Herschel Walker's record, single-season Georgia high school, with nearly 3,200 yards his senior year.
Dave, the whole idea of the off-season research and all of Coach Holtz's statistical analysis was to simplify everything for this offensive football team, and the way they're behaving, they haven't paid attention. They are not focused tonight. They've had substitution errors. They've called timeouts. They've had delay of games, which is what we just saw. Not good so far.
Look out, and Pinkins somehow threads that pass as he gets blasted. Hart Turner with a catch and good for 11 yards.
But he's got his Corey Webster coming on the corner blitz. I'm not sure that he saw him at all, but if he did, he courageously stood in there, and there's that little bit wobbly throw, but it's just perfect with a flick of the wrist. Right between the zone defenders. Beautiful throw and catch.
And Alexander unloaded on Hart Turner, who manages to hang on.
Hart Turner got really good hands.
Now, after you just saw them march 21 plays, you got to have more than a 3 and out. Pinkins does the job. Again, Turner out at the 37.
And another dumb penalty. Now, LaRon Landry might be excused because he's a true freshman and he's out there trying to make a hit. He doesn't realize that Turner's gone out of bounds. He didn't hit him very hard, so it wasn't an intentional attempt to hurt Hart Turner.
Dead ball, personal foul, late hit out of bounds on the defense. 15-yard penalty, first down.
If you're LSU, what you don't want to do right now is encourage South Carolina. Oh, that's even dumber than I thought. That's inexcusable even for a true freshman. Son, that white stuff is out of bounds. OB. Nick Saban is getting that sick feeling. We're going to let these guys hang around. We're going to help them go down the field. Already got 5 of these things. Good gracious.
That's their only problem area right now.
Well, it's a problem.
And it's keeping this drive going. Carolina into LSU territory. Summers, who has not had a chance really to get on track. That is just his 4th carry tonight.
Stopped by Alexander.
First trip inside the Tigers' end of the field tonight for the Gamecocks.
Take a look at what LSU is going to do. They're running up. Okay, they started out into 2 deep. They ran the safety up so that they got 8-man front football. That's 1 tackler too many. The run through, not enough blockers. Eric Alexander, number 27 on the hit.
Pinkins looked like he was ready to set up the screen, has to throw it away.
That's going to be grounding.
And the late flag is down, and let's check in with Matt Weiner in the studio.
All right, Dave, TCU tied with Oklahoma for the nation's longest win streak at 8, taking on UAB tonight. And here come the Blazers. Darrell Hackney to Roddy White, 53 yards. Blazers on top, but back come the Horned Frogs, as Horned Frogs will do. Lonta Hobbs, 4-yard touchdown, 13-10.
You win a lot of money asking who has the longest winning streak going. After the grounding, the Gamecocks, who had finally penetrated LSU territory, they were up at the 48, find themselves back at their own 33.
34-yard line. 3rd down and 28.
So here comes 3rd and 28. What was your favorite call on 3rd and 28?
I've actually punted on 3rd and 28.
Well, Pinkins goes deep. Oh, it's a man, and they have the first down.
But I like that one better. That's better than punting the ball on 3rd down.
Needed 28. They got 32. They said they would get Newton as much time as he's ever had. Coming on in practice, they want to see what he can do in the game. He had only 6 catches for the year before tonight. True freshman, Wallace, North Carolina.
Nice job of protection by the big guys up front. And the young freshman looks like a veteran player, finding the open spot in the zone between the 2 safeties and bringing the ball in.
Pinkins hit as he floats that one over the middle, and trying at last to get connected with Troy Williamson. Eric Alexander with pressure for LSU.
What Pinkins has done is to redeem himself. He had an inexcusable error by getting the grounding penalty 2 plays earlier when he threw the ball behind the line of scrimmage. That's not good enough. That gets you the grounding penalty. So they had 3rd and a lifetime to make a first down, and he threaded that small window, got them down there. Now they're 2nd and 10, and they're in LSU territory.
Tigers know how to get to the quarterback. Turman on the toss sweep and fights his way inside the 30. Meanwhile, way on the other side of the field, the marker is down near the line of scrimmage.
Stopped by Travis Daniels of LSU.
Most of the flags tonight have been against LSU. 5 of the 7.
Well, when you see them out there, they're usually offsides against the defense, but I didn't see that, so we'll have to see.
Steve Shaw, referee.
Illegal shift on the offense. The offense was not set when the motion man went in motion. 2 men were moving. 5-yard penalty. Second down.
Like I said, when they're out there, it's usually an illegal shift.
You're on target again. Well, they hit their biggest play of the night and almost get sacked, and now back up 5. Only 14 on the ground. Only 72 total for South Carolina. Much better protection. Turner fumbled it, and there's another drop. They have killed the Gamecocks this year.
The surest hands on the football team, Hart Turner, the normally reliable tight end. This is just unbelievable. You cannot throw a football. It doesn't matter how you hold it. It doesn't matter where the laces is. If you're Hart Turner and you're a senior on the South Carolina Gamecocks, you must catch that football, and then you must drag the guy in the end zone. You got to do that. You have to.
Right at the top of his scouting report. Excellent hands. Very out of character. Very costly. 3rd and 15. That was Carolina's chance to get right back in the game. Under pressure and incomplete. As this time it's Lionel Turner blitzing from up the middle. LSU has so many blitzes, Nick Saban has actually started to run out of names for them. They use names of states, but you're limited to 50 blitzes then.
Well, Nick says it really isn't that many because he only calls it a blitz if there are 6 or more. This time there are 6 coming. There's no answer. South Carolina does not have an answer. Lionel Turner, 58, runs clean. Jack punt is picked up. Not good enough.
Low punter, Joey Bowers. Always seems to get the roll. And down at the 9, but as well as that was placed, what an empty drive that turns into for South Carolina because of a drop inside the 5 by the normally reliable Hart Turner. And it's still 13-0 LSU. Back at right guard. Tigers, last time they had it, marched from their 3. 21 plays, 97 yards. First play on this one, Ali Broussard on the sweep, knocked out by Jermaine Harris. Carolina's still thinking we should be on the board.
Now, Dondrio Pinkins has taken a lot of heat, but all he does is throw perfect passes, and 17 times in the first 2 games this happened, and now he goes to his most reliable guy, Hart Turner, his tight end, who simply doesn't look the football in. It's inexcusable.
Not trying to be heard as again Broussard gets the carry, dragged down by Corey Peoples, who got his first action last week. Quick junior from Bishopville, South Carolina.
Both Coach Holtz's, Lou and Skip, who is Lou's son, and the offensive coordinator said, look, it's not Dondrio Pinkins. Everybody else has got to step up and do their job and help him more. Well, we had a blitzer come clean in his face on the last play, and the play before that, a drop ball for an easy touchdown. That's the story of South Carolina's offense so far this year.
People that can help him right now, his defense. They're going to stop on 3rd, a little less than 5. Mock plenty of time. Green hit right as he has the first down. They give him the 20. Maybe a little generous hit immediately by DeAndre Island.
That's real generous. You know what? It was not generous. It was a perfect spot. Perfect spot. I apologize to whomever that official is. He did a great job. Perfect spot.
Michael Taylor. Go down on the field after the game.
I will not go down on the field, but I'll
write him a note.
I know I'll do it from here.
We have people who can deliver it to him.
I'm not.
But I thought it was pretty generous too. It wasn't. Now back to Justin Vincent. LSU continues to get 6-8 yards first down after first down. Vincent does here.
I mean, this is what happens. You let LSU drive the length of the field from the 3-yard line and knock it in the end zone. You get a great drive. You're going to answer. You're going to come back. You're going to be right in this game. You make a couple of huge blunders. You let them get the football back, and then you can't get your defense off the field, and it starts to pile up, and you start to remember, oh, gee, they wasted us last year.
Vincent gets 9. LSU over 200 total yards now, missing their top 2 running backs. Hard to tell. Vincent cuts back near midfield, chased down by Oris Lambert, a gain of 20. So he gets into the act. Ali Broussard's already had a terrific first half with 78 yards, and now this drive is Vincent.
This is an exhausted South Carolina defense, a normally sound tackling team. Look at Vincent turn it up there. He knows he's getting people hit. He is getting careless with the football. And you see that ball starting to protrude out from the rear. That means he's rocking it back and forth. But this is a tired defense in the Garnett shirts.
LSU's 35th play coming up. 14 more than Carolina's had. And Mock ready to go deep middle. He overthrows Eric Edwards, who has one of LSU's touchdowns tonight.
When you get tired on defense, you go away from your fundamentals. You don't line up exactly right. Maybe you get in a position where you're going to get reached and the running game starts to go even better. You get knocked back a little more. And most distinctively, you miss tackles in the open field. You just can't keep your head up.
Yeah, this group is used to short stays on the field. They've had 60% of the opponent possessions end in 3 and outs this year. They emphasized that. It was a problem last year. They've made major strides until tonight. Mock keeping. What instincts he shows. Weaves never does anybody lay a hand on him, and he gets 12 yards. Well, tomorrow and every Sunday morning, NFL Countdown presented by Old Spice, 11 a.m. Eastern. Chris Berman, Tom Jackson, Steve Young, Chris Mortensen, joined by Michael Urban with all the news there is to know from all the games in the NFL. A weekly feature from John Madden, leading right up to kickoff every Sunday. There's plenty of time for LSU to add more points, 4:05 in the first half. And another drive that has started deep in their own end.
Timeout. LSU, that's their second timeout.
Has reached the 40 of the Gamecocks. Timeout. 13-0. An LSU dominated series so far, an LSU dominated game.
Matt Mock having an incredible game, but believe it or not, he graduates in December with a pre-med degree, and he may not return for his final year of eligibility. He's already taken the MCATs and is now considering a career in dentistry. So a week and a half ago, he took the dental admissions test. We'll talk more about it after the play.
Well, same old story. First down, 5 yards. Broussard for LSU.
Well, here's a really key number, and Kirk McCarley, our wonderful statistician, gave it to me. You go ahead. Here's Matt Mock. Matt Mock making every throw, pitching to his left and to his right.
Guys, he just received his results a couple of days ago. He was 1 point shy of passing that dental admissions test. He said he's going to take it again in a few weeks and then apply for dentistry school. But LSU fans, don't fret. He's not going to decide until the end of the season whether or not he comes back next year.
Broussard with the cutback and another first down to the 26.
Ball carrier.
I keep trying to come up with different slants on what's going on, but it's same old, same old. This is LSU grinding the Gamecock defense into the ground.
It is, and I got so worked up I jumped in the middle of what Heather was trying to say there, but they have only needed an average of 3.1 yards on third down to make the first. The longest that they've had to make is 6 yards. So they're getting the job done on first and second down. That's the story.
So after that 21-play drive, here comes the 10th play of this drive. Mock wanted to end it right here, and Clayton perfectly defended. Dante Robinson knew all week that he would draw more of Michael Clayton than any other DB. He was ready on this snap.
And he's the man that can do it. He can run with Clayton. He has such a good feel for man coverage. He's the best coverage man on the South Carolina squad. And had he not been in perfect position, that would have been 6. Right on his outside hip, a little fist fighting going on there between the two players, not unusual. Nice job, Dante.
Future record company mogul, he hopes. Skylar Green gets over the middle. And gets 6. We're inside 3 minutes to go first half. The largest home crowd of the year, Williams-Brice Stadium, 82,525 are here. Dave Barnett, Bill Curry, Heather Cox. What these 82,000 plus have seen is LSU run off 40 plays. This will be their 41st to South Carolina's 21 plays. Way over a 2-to-1 total yardage advantage. It's a game that feels like it's much more than 13-0. It may be shortly. If LSU can get another third down, and they're 7 out of 8, they'll get it. Vincent, unguarded, leaps. Did he get in? Not quite. They don't give him the goal line.
To Vincent to the 1-yard line.
Bear in mind here, considering the second half last year down in Baton Rouge, and you see the swing with Vincent turning it up and nobody home, obviously a busted coverage. He runs until he encounters a tackler at the 5-yard line, Jermaine Harris. Another nice call by the official, but if LSU scores here, it will be 52 consecutive points that they've scored against the South Carolina defense.
They have a 97-yard drive. They're trying to make this one 91 yards for another touchdown. And Broussard is stopped short.
Stopped short of the goal line.
By a foot. Not all that bad for LSU if you look at the clock. They make it harder for Carolina to have anything left to work with.
Run the time off. But, I mean, that's just a stunning statistic. South Carolina goes to Baton Rouge a year ago. They're 14-6 up at the end of the first half. 32 zip in the second half. And now it's about to be 20-0 if they can't do something really stout down here on the goal line.
2 tight ends in the eye. Jones again, the fullback, and over the top for the touchdown. This time is Vincent, and it's fitting because on his first leap he got within a couple of feet.
LSU has not been really effective in scoring touchdowns in the red zone this year. Only 60% touchdowns when they've gotten down here coming into the game. 16 out of 25 times. 3 for 3 tonight.
People this week talked about the carryover effect. Would Carolina be thinking about it? They missed another extra point. Mercy, Godet 1 for 3. Banging that one off the upright. But a big topic around here. Would Carolina use what everybody thinks about after a blowout loss? Revenge, the revenge factor. 51 unanswered points from the second half of that game through the first half of tonight. Godet may get another shot here.
Illegal participation on the defense. 12 men on the field. Half the distance to the goal and repeat the try.
That's getting creative.
No, a really great and detailed football coach like Lou Holtz counts on all these details being taken care of on a consistent basis. Now LSU's going to go for 2. When you go from the 3 to the 1.5, and this is a half a distance penalty, your odds of scoring a 2-pointer go up by double. You go from a 33% odds to 67%. And that's why LSU's going to go for 2. Much better chance of making 2 from the 1.5.
Well, especially with your kicker 1 for 3 tonight.
If your kicker can't make an extra point, that's right.
33% when you kick it. They run option. Mott keeps and does not get it. He's a foot shy again. DeAndre Island kept him out. And Carolina, believe it or not, fortunate to be down only 19-0. 55 seconds to go. The first half from Columbia. Mott got very close. It's always fun to watch Nick Saban during the game, and sometimes you see him at what looks like his most upset the bigger the lead gets. We haven't seen that Nick Saban tonight.
Well, that's part of his style, but right now he's so proud of his football team. I promise you, he can hardly breathe. Those young backs, that big offensive line, are taking charge the way he's expected them to all year. And if I were those veteran backs, if I were a die and carry, I'd be just a little concerned because these youngsters are pretty darn good.
They have 82 yards out of Broussard. on 15 carries. 45 on 8 carries out of Vincent in that last touchdown. Monday night. Pinkins, shovel, Turman. 40 as Lionel Turner hangs on. There's very little stress on Nick Saban tonight.
I think we need to change this to the Saban relaxation marks, the way his team is playing. Third down, good gracious. 3 trips to the red zone, 3 touches. Intelligence is the only part that he would like to improve upon.
Jenkins is on target to Thomas. Matthew Thomas fights into LSU territory for 11 yards. A personal note, if you don't mind, if I interject. Happy birthday, Carolyn Curry.
I don't mind.
All right, I bet she doesn't.
The only thing that would get me in trouble if I said which birthday. Happy birthday, sweetheart. Carolyn Curry's birthday. It's wonderful. She's wonderful.
Yep.
Thank you, Dave.
Second. Still time for Carolina. A couple deep shots. And one here. It was intended for Mikhail Goodman. First time that Pinkins throws for him, and he turned the wrong way. Pinkins says, my bad. 16 seconds, 2nd and 10. They do not have much in the way of range in field goal situations. Holtz tries to get no longer than a 42-yarder for Daniel Weaver. And 42 is his longest this year. 43 is his career best. So they got a ways to go. Pinkins' intended target this time is Williamson, who broke off the pattern.
A good offense is supposed to be like a good religion. It's supposed to have an answer for everything. And right now, South Carolina doesn't have an answer for LSU's blitz package. Lionel Turner, middle linebacker, 58, came through cleanly and just smashed Pinkins. And they're getting people clean whenever they want to. And that is not a good sign if you're the QB. Not a good feeling.
Holtz paces and boils. You just got to know. 3rd and 10. Thomas, maybe a couple. And they get the timeout call. They have 2 seconds. They have 1 down left for 1 deep shot.
Marcus Spears, defensive end, loves to drop and make hits like that on the zone blitz.
We'll come back, see if Carolina ends the shutout. There aren't many of them, but the LSU fans who are here are noisy. You'd be surprised if they were anything but up 19-0. 280 total yards in their first half, minus their top 2 running backs. Near perfect first half for their quarterback, Mock. And 1 last shot from 47 yards for South Carolina on the last play of the half, barring a penalty. They send 4 deep, 3 on the left side. Pinkins cranks up, fires it about 65 yards, batted up and caught by Newton, but he can't fight his way in. 44 yards out of the 47 they needed.
Yep, and Coach Saban has some folks that he can chew on a particular part of their anatomy, and he will chew them for that, because the LSU DBs batted the ball up in the air, and Newton very alertly plucks it out of the air and almost got it in the end zone. This is an inexcusable defensive error by the secondary players, looks like, in mass in the white shirts, and somebody alertly makes the play and gets a hold of Newton and keeps him from getting it in the end zone. And it's the guy that's been so reliable all night, Mr. Marcus Spears.
The defensive end is down on that coverage?
Zone blitz.
You're kidding me. 19-0 at the half.
Those guys love to drop.
To Matt Weiner.
Dominating performance by LSU. A couple of missed opportunities by Carolina, and a 19-0 score.
And LSU will get the ball to start the second half. They did a great job keeping the ball in the first half. Joey Bauer set to kick off. Avery Henderson, who had the first touchdown of the night on the return of the 20 for LSU, which had 97 and 91-yard touchdown drives in the first half. We check our ESPN2 game track. Like Sherman's march, one of those 21 plays, almost 10 minutes for 97 yards. And then they go 14 plays, 91 yards. Ali Broussard has been unstoppable. Matt Mock has been near perfect. 2 of the 3 touchdowns through the air. One a flying leap by Justin Vincent. Mock right back to the air where the first half began as he goes to Skylar Green. Let's go down below and check in with Heather Cox.
Well, guys, as usual, Coach Lou Holtz was very honest. He said, up until now, our defense has been good all season. Tonight, it is absolutely embarrassing. We have got to find a way to control the line of scrimmage and stop LSU's run. For Nick Saban and LSU, he said, we have found our offensive identity. We are controlling the line of scrimmage and time of possession. And LSU is 19-1 under Saban when holding the opponent to under 100 yards rushing. So far, so good. Just 5 rushing yards for South Carolina in the first half.
Another second and short. Toss sweep Vincent with the cutback, and he's got a real knack for that. Very instinctive runner with a good change of direction, as you just saw, and he takes it 13 yards.
Now what's happened when you let the other side keep the ball for 20 minutes of the first half, which is exactly what South Carolina did. Certainly not intentionally, but when you're being dominated physically, you come out for the third quarter, you don't want to be tired, you want to feel rested, but you're not. Rodriguez Wilson comes up, he's got a chance to really nail the tailback then, ducks his head, misses the tackle, easy first down.
Gamecock defense right now, first minute of the third quarter, has got to feel like they played a whole game. Eric Edwards, another first down. 11 yards.
Nice play calling by Jimbo Fisher, offensive coordinator for LSU. Came out through the quick screen and let Michael Clayton block. Ran the ball once, then went right out to the boot. They're not just trying to ram it down their throat.
That's why they feel like they've been out there for a whole game.
They've been out there for a whole game. That's their normal allocation, 273 yards for an entire game. We're barely beyond the first half.
This is the 8th ranked defense in the country. LSU is slicing up. And Carolina's played some folks. Mock, deep middle. And Robinson almost makes an acrobatic interception. Henderson looked behind him. Robinson may be shaken up. Robinson, who made the play late in the first half, to take a long throw away from Michael Clayton. Gets this one away from Henderson and comes down hard.
Well, Matt Mock has had a marvelous night, but he made a terrible mistake here. Watch Michael Clayton lined up here. Watch him as he comes across the field. Keep watching, keep watching. Look at him now. Total blown coverage. Nobody within 20 yards of Clayton. What does Mock do? He goes up and tries to take the post, underthrows it, should have been intercepted by Dante Robinson, who's now shaken up on the play. We should add right here that here's another chance for a top Carolina player to make a big play, and he doesn't come down with the football.
And he didn't realize at first he was hurt. First he was just disappointed.
But I think it just knocked the wind out of it. When you land like that on your back, it just absolutely bounces the wind. You can't breathe, and it looks like he's going to be fine. Mostly he's disgusted because he should have caught the football.
Great kid. We got to spend some time with him yesterday.
He is indeed.
He plays for his 13-year-old young brother Darian. He knows he is his role model and figures Darian will be 4 or 5 years right up here playing college ball. He says he's better than he is. Hard to imagine. Henderson slowly making his way toward the locker room. And on 2nd and 10, it's back to Broussard on the ground, and we go back to the studio, Matt Weiner.
Well, Dave, the Horned Frogs win streak is being challenged tonight by UAB. Trey Chaney, right side, touchdown, 9-yarder, and UAB leads 24-16 in the third.
Now the TCU win streak in jeopardy.
Watson Brown down there at UAB, good football coach, very good coach.
8 out out of 9 converting on 3rd down tonight. The Tiger offense. This is about as long as they've had to convert. And they don't get it. Broussard comes up a couple short.
Jeremiah Garrison, good tight man coverage. Nice job by the secondary. That was almost a coverage sack. Had South Carolina been able to get a little pressure, they could have had a sack because it took Malk about 6 seconds to deliver the football. Normally when that happens, a linebacker like Garrison can't run with the wide receiver, but in this case he did.
And the cheers from the Carolina fans as Donnie Jones will finally make an appearance.
Been looking for him all night, hadn't he?
We'll try to pin this one. Can't quite get it to turn over, and it bounces on into the end zone. Jones now the puntingest guy LSU's ever had. Most career punts, most career yards. He is. The official term. Robinson and Henderson shaking up on that play. It's still 19-0.
Back in Columbia, South Carolina, LSU up 19-0. Now 2 injuries to report for LSU. DeVree Henderson has gone back into the locker room. He was hit in the lower back. He's also been plagued by a bum hamstring all season long. They will evaluate him in the locker room. It is yet to be determined whether or not he will return. For South Carolina, Dante Robinson also with a lower back injury. His return is questionable, guys.
Well, Robinson tonight would probably be the bigger loss. Carolina needs every hand on deck for defensive purposes. Summers on the carry. We've seen very little of this freshman from Lexington who has had the highest comparisons you can draw to an SEC running back, to the likes of Herschel Walker and Emmitt Smith. They haven't had the ball enough to get him involved, and they've been behind and they've had to throw.
Well, he's a good player. I watched him at practice Thursday, and I was impressed, but I haven't seen anything that resembles Herschel or Emmitt yet. I mean, he may very well do that, but he hasn't yet.
All-time leading rusher in the high school history of this state. All-time leading scorer. And Pinkins slips it inside to him, just to the 23. It'll be 3rd and 7. He's brought down by Marquise Hill. Lou Holtz liked him so much, Bill, just to interrupt, he promised him in recruiting, and he never does this, but he promised him if he signed with South Carolina, he would carry on their first play of the season, and he did.
And how much did he gain?
10 yards.
10 yards on the first carry. He's up against a defense tonight that's playing inspired football, and the way the offense helps the defense in this great team sport is these guys have been resting the whole first half.
Out again, passing situation, 3 wide, shotgun. Pinkins, wide open, off to the races, Matthew Thomas. They won't catch him, and Carolina's on the board. 77 yards, a flag back at the line of scrimmage. Might have a late hit on Pinkins. So this will stand. Matthew Thomas. The junior having his best season yet out of Pearson, Georgia.
It would be so easy to become discouraged if you're Dondrio Pinkins. Instead of doing that, what he does is he eludes a fierce rush on the run to his left, gets his shoulders squared up, makes a beautiful throw into a busted coverage to get his team right back into this football game, and in the process takes a hit from Lionel Turner, number 58. That's going to be a 15-yard penalty.
Personal foul, roughing the passer on the defense. The penalty will be assessed on the kickoff.
Now this is beautiful. Let's see what happens to Corey Webster. Well, it wasn't Corey Webster. Jack Hunt, Corey Webster had a bracket situation, and somebody was supposed to stay outside, and we don't know which. If it was man, then Jack Hunt busted the coverage. If it were a bracket, then it was Corey Webster's responsibility.
So Daniel Weaver for the extra point to make it 19-7. South Carolina very close to 2 long touchdowns in the first half. They finally get one to work. Pinkins 77 yards to Matthew Thomas. As Turner unloaded on him late. Matthew Thomas giving the largest crowd of the year at Williams-Brice Stadium a thrill. 77 yards, 19-7.
Here's another thrill for South Carolina. They're kicking off from the 50-yard line. Not a bad time to take a little shot at maybe an onside or dink it down there and see if you can get it bouncing around. I don't think Coach Holtz will do that, but it is definitely time for the South Carolina defense to show up.
Yep, midway third quarter, you ought to show up by now. Bowers not fooling around with the return into the hedges. Let's look again at the contact that led to the flag. How late was this hit by Lionel Turner?
This hit was very late. First of all, he should have been tackled by Kirsten Pittman, and then this just absolutely Rydell in the mouth shot from Lionel Turner 2 or 3 seconds after the throw. Totally uncalled for.
So, momentum for the first time tonight for the Gamecocks. Doesn't mean anything. Justin Vincent corralled after a gain of 2, and that's about as well as they have done defensively on a first down tonight. Darrell Slade for the hit.
What you should see from the South Carolina squad is a new sense of invigoration, a new bounce in their step, pads down, knocking people back, sprinting to the football, getting this drive stopped. Very important right here. Crucial point in the game.
Chris Kosh, who worked under Nick Saban at Michigan State, the defensive coordinator, saying yesterday, defense to me isn't stopping them, it's getting the ball back. And they have not gotten their offense the ball back nearly often enough tonight. That's dropped by Eric Edwards. It was tipped on the way. Looked like by Corey Peoples.
Nice job by Lance Lowry pressuring Mock. But this is an interesting thing. All these great catches that the LSU players have been making now, because of the spring in the step, because of the enthusiasm and the velocity of the hits, all of a sudden it's a little tougher to make those catches. And all of a sudden it's 3rd and 8 rather than being 3rd and 2.
LSU 8 of 10 getting third downs tonight. Chalk up another one. Michael Clayton. Just his second catch. They needed 7. He gets them 15.
Michael Clayton, the vaunted wide receiver, blocker, kick coverer, clutch player, does a little curlicue back to the outside. The throw is perfect. The coverage is about as good as it can be. It was man-free coverage. Fred Bennett on the coverage. Nice job by all concerned, but yet another first down for this LSU offense.
And just a true freshman draws the toughest assignment on the field. And the Tigers snap it again. Back to the ground, and Vincent. Gain of 3.
The guy that's becoming a major player here on this drive is Darrell Slade, number 10. The fellow that Jaffe Oliver, the defensive end coach, was telling me about before the game. He's making progress every day. He's a young player, hadn't played that position very long. He's made 2 of the last 3 tackles.
Second and 7, Edwards. The immediate hit. And 3rd and about 3 coming. And without Robinson, South Carolina having to get pretty deep into the secondary now as Tremaine Tyler, a sophomore out of Cope, South Carolina, makes that stop.
Bear in mind, too, that the South Carolina secondary was already decimated with the loss of Andrea Goss, Jameisha Jackson, 2 starters that were expected to play and couldn't play this week. So they're going to be very thin back there.
Devery Henderson with a hip pointer, but back in the game for 3rd and 2. And the end around. Cut down short by Corey Peoples.
I really like Corey Peoples. I think he is a heck of a football player. He's one of those defensive backs that probably would have been what's called a spur in the previous system, meaning a hybrid linebacker, defensive back, safety type, but he can flat tackle. He can rush the passer, he can play in the secondary, and he can force the run like that.
Lou Holtz says he's so active, he missed 3 tackles on the same play one time.
That means he hustles, even when he misses. What a big play to force the punt.
And only the 2nd of the night for Donnie Jones. Flags on either end of the line of scrimmage. Jones gets a little roll out of a shank. Not much better than a shank. Gets 35 yards out of it.
I am not going to speculate on another penalty this night. Nick doesn't know what it is either. Okay.
I'm going to speculate procedure. LSU.
It's a formation error. Probably didn't have 7 men on the line of scrimmage. I'm guessing South Carolina will decline it and take the football.
Illegal formation. 6 men on the line of scrimmage on the offense. Penalty is declined. It'll be 1st down, South Carolina.
Yeah, because Donnie Jones doesn't kick 35 yards very often.
Nope. You get those kicks out of him, you take them.
Now, Lou Holtz has some points on the board, a little momentum, and a long way to go, middle of the 3rd quarter. Well, at last, there is something to praise the South Carolina defense about. Chris Kosh. Meanwhile, as we suspected, and as Heather reported, Nate Livings with the knee injury, definitely out the rest of the night. And so Carolina now, after the short punt, back to work. Toss sweep Summers. Travell Wharton, the left tackle, told us yesterday he knew the first time he saw Demetrius Summers carry the ball in a practice that he'd like him because he thought, this is a guy who's going to know enough not to run up the back of my legs.
Offensive linemen love young backs who don't drill us in the back.
In other words, wait for the hole.
That means he has marvelous vision, and what you just saw, that didn't look like much, but that was a 5-yard gain.
That's big tonight for South Carolina. Summers the other way, very close to the first. Let's go back to Matt Weiner.
Guys, Florida State has beaten Virginia the last 6 games by 21 or more. This one's going to be a little closer, looks like. Matt Schaub to his tight end. Heath Miller just gets in. Cuts the lead to 2 at 16-14. Meanwhile, just a field goal since halftime in Norman, and Oklahoma into the 4th quarter with a 24-point lead on Mizzou.
Well, however, what is it, 7 straight? 5 straight, something like that. Oklahoma scored 50 points or more. Still fairly impressive night for Missouri as they check Summers that much shy of the 1st down. Summers only 8 carries tonight at 16 yards. 161 against UAB. They knew immediately they were onto something. He had 110 in the 1st quarter. And then against the Tennessee defense, giving up 53 rush yards a game, he got 158. That's where all those comparisons started to roll in all the local papers. Now 3rd and 1. They go offset eye. Dacus Turman at fullback. They used to have such great play from Andrew Pinnock. Pickens will sneak and get it.
Watching Dondriel Pinkins, he's got everything you need in a big-time quarterback. All he needs is people to catch the football. What happened in the 1st instance? The ball's dropped by Hart Turner. The 2nd instance, he takes a shot again, but this time Matthew Thomas comes down with the football, runs it in the end zone. He just keeps coming at you. He's tough, he's smart, he has a great arm.
Roughed by Lionel Turner as he tossed that touchdown. Corey Boyd, who also has not had anywhere near the 10 opportunities that they want to get him. That's just his second carry. The two true freshmen, Summers and Boyd, against the true freshman Broussard, redshirt freshman Vincent for LSU. As young a matchup as we'll see in the SEC probably all year.
Oh, man, but such talent. And the LSU coaches said these guys are good now. We're not saying they're not good. They're just young.
Pinkins trying to get it, I think, determined on a screen, and Randall Gay coming on a corner blitz.
Well, yes, he did come on a corner blitz, but that wasn't the problem. The problem was the entire defensive line recognized what's going on, and they just trotted right on out there with Gay, and there was no place to throw it.
Only non-freshman to carry it. Pinkins on that sneak. Otherwise, solid youth for Carolina. They need 10. They haven't been bad on third down, but they're not going to get this one. Not even close. As Jack Hunt comes up and runs right into Mikhail Goodman as soon as the ball arrives.
Very cleverly designed defense there by Will Muschamp, defensive coordinator for LSU. He showed the corner blitz, and as the corner came, he knew where the hot route would be, and he knew it would be short of the first down. So here comes the corner here. He knows that the route's going to go in this vicinity, which is well short of the first down. Tight coverage, the tackle, and the punt.
Josh Brown gets the roll. They always get the roll with this odd, but not brand new punt formation. 43 yards out of it here. Tomorrow, every Sunday morning, Chris Berman and his crew with NFL Countdown, presented by Old Spice, beginning at 11 a.m. Eastern. All the news you need in a weekly feature from John Madden leading up to kickoff every Sunday morning. How old is that punt formation that South Carolina went to against LSU last year?
Well, I asked Lou, I said, did you make that thing up? He said, of course not. And then I suddenly remembered I saw Rip Engel do it at Penn State before Joe Paterno was the head coach. Believe it or not.
Nothing new under the sun. Another 5-yard gain on first down and maybe a fumble, but after the whistle. Broussard, one of the areas LSU coaches had to be concerned about was would they hang on to the ball, and they've done that tonight. Broussard limps off.
Nick Saban's going to get him over there, and Derek Dooley is position coach, and they're going to say, Mr. Broussard, don't ever let go of the football until you hand it to the official. Don't let it come out. There's Derek right there, speaking to his young freshman back.
Alley over 100. Vincent near 6 yards per carry. Can't ask a whole lot more out of first-year guys. Back to Vincent, who sets up a 3rd and 2.
These first-year guys look like, to me, one definition of a great back is a guy that runs into a pile and out the other side. Every time Broussard carries the football, every time that Vincent carries the football, that's how they look to me. Like they're going to run into the pile and out the other side because they've got such elusiveness and such vision and such balance. They are really, really good.
Vincent back out. And they cut down Broussard shy of the first down. Jermaine Harris, who was playing for the injured Jamesa Jackson at one of the safeties.
Now, we described the LSU defense in the first half as inspired. We are now seeing an inspired Gamecock defense. They are holding their own at the line of scrimmage, sprinting to the football, gang tackling. A Lou Holtz defense for real.
A defense that's averaged 60% 3-and-outs, gets its first of the night. By less than a yard, but it'll do. 3rd punt of the night, Donnie Jones. Much more like him. Although this one backs up, gets a Gamecock bounce and killed at the 38.
38-yard line.
Looked better, got only 33 yards out of it. 2:20 to go, third quarter. 19-7. Carolina holding its own here in the second half. Number 10 LSU, one of 5 ranked teams this week in the Southeastern Conference. Auburn breaking in at 25, the preseason favorite. Tennessee drops back to 22 after the home loss to Georgia. Arkansas will drop after losing again today at home against Florida. And then you have LSU after losing at home to Florida at 10, and Georgia not that sharp today, but they still handle Vanderbilt. Should at least remain number 5, you'd think. Really amounts to Georgia replacing Auburn in the top 5. That's where the Tigers were beginning of the year. They're starting to play like a top 5 team. They find a way to get Troy Williamson involved. Finally. And they were ready. Eric Alexander was.
This is great football. This is coaching now. This is Will Muschamp, Nick Saban football. When you're on the backside and you've got contained responsibility and there's a reverse action, you've got responsibility to be there. And in this case, it was the responsibility of Eric Alexander, number 27. Here he is, right here. Easy to see. A perfect form tackle in the open field.
Incomplete. Shovel, everybody thinks is a fumble. Just a pass, 3rd and 12. Lou Holtz's team has averaged 1.9 yards on first down. He's had a whole different set of play calling problems. Skip Holtz, really the coordinator, than Nick Saban, whose team routinely has gotten 5, 6, 8 yards on first down.
Well, the last time, though, Skip came up with some big plays, and that's what he's got to do now.
Out rush 196 to 18. Pinkins rolling left and knocked away. Loose ball, live ball, picked up, returned. LSU to the end zone goes Jason Ledoux. A return of a fumble as Pinkins scrambled left, the same way he went for the touchdown.
Well, he evaded Kirsten Pittman last time, number 48, but this time Pittman kept his balance. This is 2 perfect foreign tackles in a row. The ball did not start forward. Good call by the official. Great job by Ledoux to scoop the ball up. When the ball's out in the open, that's the time to do that.
A low extra point, but at least a good extra point by Godet. Jason Ledoux is not even listed among the top 3 at any defensive line spot for LSU. That's how deep they are. You can send him in. He's a senior. Great program, West Monroe, Louisiana. Began at Texas A&M. And gets LSU the 19-point lead back.
Well, we talked about Pinkins being a quick study and learning well. Well, so did Kirsten Pittman. He learned that this guy is elusive. He kept his feet. He went right into the middle of him. He forced the turnover. Pinkins wisely sort of hung on to him with his legs. That wasn't all bad by the QB. But Ledoux was able to scoop that football up and run it in. And dominance of athletic ability and overwhelming talent, well coached by the LSU staff.
I'm going to correct myself. Jason Ledoux, middle linebacker where they list him, behind Lionel Turner, but hadn't been on the field much. Former Louisiana Defensive Player of the Year. And has been a backup at LSU behind Trev Faulk. Grady James last 3 years after transferring from A&M, and Ledoux makes it 26-7. Very quiet again at Williams-Brice Stadium.
Chris Jackson will kick off for LSU.
Busy night for Chris Jackson.
I want to see that.
You just get the feeling that everybody here says that was our chance. We were in the game. Poof, it's gone.
Well, one of the problems South Carolina has is that right there.
Matthew Thomas to the 32 and back to Matt Weiner in the studio. Boy, and huge numbers by Schaub. 300 yards there. Huge numbers by LSU here. Just have not let South Carolina get anything at all established on offense. And dropped by the freshman Summers. The only time Carolina's had anything go right on offense has been long passes, 2 of which haven't produced points. One did, 77-yard catch and run to Thomas. That's the sum total of their attack tonight.
What is your job if you're an LSU coach? You've got to keep your men playing with intensity. South Carolina's proven that they can make big plays and get back in it.
Pinkins hit as he gets that one off, somehow threads it. And Newton, who at the end of the first half caught the Hail Mary after Ron Landry had batted it in the air. Couldn't get past the 3-yard line. Thrilling play, all for naught.
This is like a recurring nightmare. Early in the season, South Carolina dropped one football after another. Tonight, in the most critical situations, that's the third drop that I can recall. A perfect throw, tough catch, but those are the catches you must make if you want to be in these kinds of games.
Lincoln's pretty accurate tonight. Laid that one up close, and it is batted away. That one for Noah Whiteside. Yet another true freshman getting some time tonight.
You talked about Big Chad Lavallee, number 93, the highly intense defensive tackle. The big guy's listed at 290. He can really run. I think he was 290 in about the 8th grade. He's way beyond that, but man, can he accelerate.
A few years before he worked at prison.
Yeah.
He was a prison guard to hide from his high school buddies. Josh Brown with the punt, not that long, 35 yards. Lavallee took the ACT 5 times, and his perseverance finally paying off. He signed with LSU 3 different times.
Let's watch him warm up. The reason this guy is so good is because he understands leverage. This is him in warm-ups. Boom! He takes on the blocker squarely, bench presses him, literally. See how he gets separation in a real game? Then he throws him, runs to the football. Practices that every single day, even right up to warm-ups.
Mock with the fake sweep, and then pulls up and hits Edwards. It's going to be close for another first down. More the same for LSU in the final minute of the 3rd quarter. Tomorrow night, we don't want you to miss a special encore presentation of Playmakers, the ESPN original entertainment drama. You can catch up on the action from the beginning. Episodes 7 and 8 begin at 9 Eastern. The Playmakers Marathon, episodes 1 through 8, Tuesday. Get you right up to speed on that series. Who will be arrested next? Seems to be the question. As they measure, Edwards that short. Matt Mock is 20 of 25. 2 touchdowns. Has not been intercepted. 168 yards.
Matt Mock's having his career football game at a most auspicious time for his team. They want to fight their way back up into the top 5. This is how you do it. A dominating performance up to this point.
Definitely his best game since the SEC title game of 2 years ago when he came in. LSU trailing 17-7. Came from behind after Rohan Davey was injured.
Took over for Rohan Davey, but mostly he ran the ball. He didn't throw much.
The 3rd quarter, 26-7, LSU.
That's been the Nick Saban we've seen tonight. He has not had to race up and down and bark at anybody. His team is dominating.
Promise.
Well, we begin the 4th quarter with a 2nd and 1 and a first down pickup by Justin Vincent. Bill Curry, Dave Barnett, Heather Cox. Question all LSU fans had coming into tonight was last week an aberration? Home loss to Florida. No question, we have our answer.
Well, I think, too, Florida is proving that they're a pretty darn good football team. Just don't ever forget what kind of athletes they have in Gainesville, and that Chris Leak is growing up every day right before the fans' eyes, and he must have had another outstanding game today.
Florida's really good, but LSU not getting past the Gator 31 is unimaginable the way they play tonight. Reverse, and Carolina trying to chase down Skylar Green, who gets the first down or very near it. They're going to mark him about a foot short.
Yeah, Mo Thompson, number 91, had contained, and he did his job, but he missed the tackle. He was up the field, had a chance to nail this reverse for a big, big loss. Couldn't come down with the play. Here's Mo, 91 right here. This is his job. He gets caught down inside, sees what he's supposed to do, comes out, has contained, can't come down with the shifty Skylar Green.
Skylar Green, who has returned 6 punts this year, 2 all the way. Shifty indeed. Vincent, first down. Let's go to Matt Weiner.
Dave, we got a good one brewing over on ESPN, Florida State and Virginia. Just to give you an idea what the Cavaliers are doing. Greg Jones just 53 yards rushing so far in this one, thanks to the gang tackling. Daryl Blackstock of the Cavs shutting them down 19-14. Plenty of time left for the Wahoos.
Well, that win in '95, the signature win in the history of Virginia football. The first time anybody in the ACC had ever beaten Florida State at that point. Tried for about 3 years. It's still the only time Virginia's beaten it. 45-yard line of the Gamecocks. Out of the eye, play action. Mock looking deep. Hangs it over the middle. It should be picked, and it is. In the end zone, the interception. Carolina gets the takeaway as Tremaine Tyler comes away with it. And Mock with the first turnover of the night for the Tigers.
And Nick wants to know, Matt, what are you thinking? What were you looking at? No chance to throw that ball that far. The two poor things that Mock has done tonight is he underthrew the post pattern to Clayton, and he overthrew this one right to the defensive back.
And they mark Tyler's progress at the 1. So like a great punt. They mark this at the 1. Obviously, momentum carries Tyler into the end zone. He caught it at the 1, but how is he going to stop right there on a dime? And that's what they stop the ball at, the 1 yard line. It's either a safety because he's tackled trying to return it, or a touchback. It can't be marked at the 1,
well,
can it?
It's not a safety. It's a judgment by the official. The rule,
as Williamson gets him out of that hole.
What a marvelous throw and catch. The responsibility and impetus, the impetus imparted by a player. If a player causes the ball to go in there, only then can it be a safety. If initial impetus is considered expended, the responsibility of the ball's progress is by a player, so it can't be a safety. And in the judgment of the official, the impetus wasn't sufficient that he would have gone into the end zone, and so
he missed
it's a judgment.
He missed it. But Carolina has gotten almost where they should have been. That's Corey Boyd.
The energy of the ball, in the official's opinion, that ball would not have taken him in, it should not have taken him in the end zone, and that's why he marked it at the 1. What he does in the end zone running around doesn't matter unless he drops the ball.
And Mikhail Goodman stumbles on that pattern. So the Tigers up by 19 through 3 quarters. Our ESPN2 game track. Broussard and Vincent unstoppable. Broussard at 101 yards. Vincent with a touchdown. Key drop in the first half by Turner. Summers had one here in the second half. 251 yards, -3 rushing yards for a Lou Holtz team. Can you imagine it? Another drop. Matthew Thomas. Let's check it. Oh, we'll keep it here for a moment, as the punting unit will then have to come on way quicker than they wanted for the Gamecocks. -3 on the ground. Can't put it on youth. LSU's backs are even younger. There was one carry by a non-freshman for South Carolina. One carry by a sophomore, Dacus Turman. Josh Brown, pretty big punt. And a roll inside the 40. 44 yards on this one. Let's go down to Heather with a special guest.
I am joined by LSU grad and 2001 PGA champion David Toms. Now, David, you shot a 68 today up in Greensboro. Hop on your flight. You getting a little inspiration for a big finish tomorrow from these LSU Tigers?
Yes, I am. You know, they're playing great tonight. I was hoping they would because it was kind of tough getting here and be late getting home, but I tell you what, it's well worth it so far.
Now, you're 8 behind the leader. How much are you thinking about your backswing as you're pacing these sidelines, or how much are you watching these LSU Tigers?
None whatsoever right now. You know, they're playing great tonight. It's just fun being here. You know, I'm just a fan like everybody else, all the other purple and gold supporters up there in the stadium right now. And you know, tomorrow morning I'll get up and think about golf, but tonight it's LSU football.
Now, in 2001, you won in New Orleans with the whole crowd chanting LSU up the 18th fairway. What kind of thrill was that for you?
You know, I still get chill bumps thinking about that day. You know, it's the closest I've ever been to being a quarterback in LSU Stadium for sure. And you know, it's something they've always supported me, the LSU fans have, and I try to do my best for them every time I can. All
right, best of luck tomorrow. David Toms, 8 behind the leader. Good luck tomorrow.
Thanks.
Never forget the ace that won it for him over Mickelson at 4th round. Flags, whistles before Vincent turns upfield.
While we're waiting for the call here, I think it's very important for Nick Saban and his staff not to go totally conservative, to keep running their offense, to keep showing confidence in the offense, continuity, to keep teaching the young backs what they need to learn because of the stretch run they got to make coming up.
He's come really close to achieving what he said his goal was when he took over 4 years ago at Baton Rouge, and that was get LSU regularly into the top 10, make him, again, a nationally prominent program. They won the conference title 2 years ago. Most of this year in the top 10. Number 10 this week. Vincent getting a chance to show his pass-catching abilities. It'll be 3rd and right at about 10 needed. What has happened, though, is a lot like what happened when he was at Michigan State. They have had a hard time following up their signature wins, and it was at home over Georgia this year. Now, the next week they were fine. They destroyed Mississippi State, and then they stumbled at home to Florida. Again, a good team. Shouldn't have been as dominated by the Gators as they were last week. It's something that he preaches is look out for the high rankings. Look out for success. That's when you're most vulnerable. It almost seems to be a self-fulfilling prophecy sometimes for his teams. Mock will scramble for the first down. Plenty more across midfield.
Well, first of all, Dave, everybody has trouble following up on their big wins because you got 100 teenage males and you're trying to convince them, okay, you just hammered your biggest rival, you just won a great big game, you're all heroes, everybody's telling you how great you are, and you gotta make them convinced that this next one's going to be really hard, and you don't do it. So everybody has that problem as you build a program. But second thing is that this has been a pattern that Nick has had to deal with in his jobs with this Michigan State and with LSU.
Grinding it out again. Broussard back to work for 7 yards. Well, the bottom line on him is he has achieved what he wanted. They're back in the top 10. And in the open market tomorrow, how many NFL teams will come at him? In fact, it's kind of a source of irritation because his name gets linked to NFL openings so often.
Well, he had success as an NFL defensive coordinator at Cleveland with Bill Belichick. I think Belichick was the head coach then. And once you had success like that and then you go do well in college, you're a hot item. So there'd be a lot of people interested in him.
Not campaigning, though. He would want that to be re-emphasized. Eric Edwards with his first down. Let's go down to Heather.
The LSU Tigers have dedicated this season to their longtime equipment manager, Jeff Boss, who was diagnosed 7 months ago with brain cancer. He had not missed a game for 24 years. The team has named its locker room after him. They're wearing JV on the helmets, and they're also wearing these baseball caps. JB when they get off of the field. Nick Saban said that Jeff Boss influenced this team over the last 24 years more than any other person in LSU program history. That is how much he has meant to this team, and they think about him every time that they take the field.
Those guys spend a lot of time with the players, don't they?
They are so important. You can't have a program without a Jeff Boss.
Well, Barrington Edwards getting into the act now. Is he ever? Another true freshman, Bowie, Maryland product, who 2,300 yards, 30 touchdowns his junior year for a state championship team. The scheme changed with the offense his senior year. They moved him to fullback and wide receiver, back to tailback. And LSU is so deep, even without Joseph Adai and Chiron Carey tonight. Barrington Edwards listed actually above Ali Broussard in their tailback depth chart, only now on the field and getting a chance to run it.
Just try to grasp this. This guy's the 5th string tailback. 5th string. Look at him run.
Stopped at the 20, back to...
That wasn't too cool.
No, not that. LSU back nosing their way into the top 25. Edwards lost 3. Play action and a completion. And David Jones has had himself a nice night, mostly at fullback, the starting tight end. To the 16 in the SEC East. Bring you up to date. Georgia still in control of that division after managing a win over Vanderbilt. Basically won the SEC championship, if history is to be played out the way it usually is, last week by winning at Tennessee. It's hanging in there. Clayton in motion, fake to him. Another short completion. Vincent making people miss again. Down near a touchdown. It would have been his second. He's a yard short.
Beautifully conceived offensive football with really a kind of double misdirection, if that makes sense to you. And I'll show you what I mean by that. The misdirection begins with Clayton coming this way so that it looks like it's going to be a handoff, and then back the other way, and then Vincent comes from your left to your right, and it's almost as if it were a shovel pass out into the flat. Jimbo Fisher has definitely not gone conservative, and the young back's getting to run everything and hanging on to the football well.
Vincent gets a chance and finishes the job. His second touchdown of the night.
Now, there wasn't much way I could draw that properly to explain to you what happened, but if you're a linebacker for South Carolina, it just looks like there are white shirts running in every direction. You don't know which way to go. You can't get out to your coverage, so you get Vincent in the open field with only one guy to try to tackle him. He takes it down near the goal line and then on in on the next play. Beautifully conceived offensive football.
Two up, probably around 4 miles of pacing tonight. Godet with his best extra point. Had 2 missed tonight. That one looked like Godet. 33-7. Under 7 minutes to go. And the quotes after this game probably will not be all that colorful from Lou, but most of them are. 33-7 LSU. Now well over 400 total yards. 246 rushing, 199 passing. They wanted an offensive identity. Either one would be fine tonight. Both have been really impressive. And Heather's done intensive study on the wit and wisdom of Lou Holtz this week.
Yeah, he is one of the most quoted guys in all of sports. 25 years of his quotes have been captured in this book, Quotable Lou. And I'll give you the Cliff Notes versions, a couple of my favorites. Ideas, they're funny things. They don't work unless you do. When all is said and done, as a rule, more is said than done. And my personal favorite, guys, one way to save face is to keep the lower part of it shut. One thing you know with Lou Holtz is you'll never get platitudes or cliches. You'll usually get insight, wit, and humor, guys.
Williamson is this relentless Tiger offense. It's been a while since we've seen 2 drives like the 2 we saw in the first half. We may never again see a 21 play.
Not sure we have seen any quite like that. Nick Saban, a very happy man tonight.
That was the story. The final score was the only question, and it's 33-7 for Bill Curry, Heather Cox, our entire crew, Dave Barnett. Let's send you from Columbia. Back to Matt Weiner.